What's up guys? In this video I'm going to talk about my vlogging setup and the camera that I use most for vlogging and a little side project I've gotten going on. Check it out. Behind you with like the clouds, the sky and everything, and still be able to see. We've got the Rode video mic. Here we go. M50. What do you guys think? Okay, so I use several cameras, as you guys know. I have the GH5, the NX1, and the 5D Mark IV. But when it comes to setup, there's a little bit more that I like to incorporate into. First of all, if you're new to this channel, hit that like, and I hope you subscribe. I talk mostly about DSLR and mirrorless cameras in regards to video. So thanks and welcome. So I did a recent shoot and I was just walking around with a couple of big cameras, and some people stopped to ask me, oh man, what are you using? Or are you guys filming a movie, or what the heck is that and what are you doing? And I realized that sometimes that my setups can be a little bit elaborate, even if I want to do the most simplest things, but I find it effective for at least what I want to film. So I want to share it with you guys, and it's just my own particular setup, and I'll tell you why I use it. So let's start off with the camera that I will use for vlogging and basically walking and talking, and the whole setup, not just the camera. I'll use the 5D Mark IV. And the 5D Mark IV, I'll mix it with the Zhiyun Crane 2, and I'll pretty much hold it like this. Oh, well, actually, I'll hold it like this if I'm filming in front of me, and then I'll film it to like selfie mode, which makes it turn around, and I'll walk like this. 5D Mark IV has no in-body stabilization, so I use the Zhiyun Crane because it gives me that added stabilization that I'd want when I'm recording. I can hit the record button off the Zhiyun Crane 2 because it actually connects to the Canon via USB, and you can control focus right here, and also the aperture and f-stop right on the actual crane, so that makes it convenient, and then switch for a bunch of different modes. So right now it's recording me in 4K, and this is how I'll mostly record my vlogs, and I'll record them in 4K too. Now I know that the Canon has that MJPEG codec for recording in 4K and the 1.7 times crop. So what I do to battle that, I'll stop this recording right here. What I'll do to battle that is that on the actual Canon, so I've got the in-body stabilization taken care of with the Zhiyun Crane. In the actual camera, I'll have a SanDisk Extreme Pro 512 gigabytes. On top of that, a Lexar 256 gigabyte CF card. That gives me over 2.5 hours of 4K recording with the MJPEG codec. Now that works for me because I'm able to pretty much record extensive vlogs, and I'm not going to record vlog for more than 2.5 hours in 4K. And if I want to capture slow-mo, I'm going to switch it to 1080p and capture some shots in full slow-mo. Now I've got the NX1, which records 120 frames per second, records at 4K at a better codec, and it's got great autofocus. But why would I bother to use the Canon 5D Mark IV for vlogging? That's simple. Because of the face detect autofocus that it has in the dual pixel autofocus built into this. This does a much better job when it comes to finding my face, focusing on my face, and basically I know that no matter what happens in the background, it won't get distracted and it's gonna stay on me. Even if I kind of move my hands around in front of my face, it's gonna still track my face. And that's what I prefer when vlogging. The NX1 is a great camera, but I know that if I put my hand in front, as I'm doing now, because I'm recording this off the NX1, it's paying attention to my hand, even if I don't have my hand as the main, like my face. Even though I got it on face detect, but it still will follow my hand. But that's my setup. Now, 1.74 times crop, the way I combat that is this Tokina lens, which I've talked about in the past. It's 11 to 20, so I'll keep it at 11 millimeters for most of my shots. And pretty much zoom it all the way out. And even when I hold it this close, that crop excuse me, that crop doesn't matter because it's zoomed out enough to where I could be pretty close to the camera and it's still gonna carry me and film me without it being close up to my nose or anything like that. So I think that's a great setup. And on top, I will use the Rode VideoMic Pro for most of the time, but right now I got a Rode VideoMic. And this is a pretty awesome setup for recording 4K in vlog style, as well as getting some shots. Now the limitations are, of course, one, I'm granted, I'm pretty strong and I could hold it and it not bother me for too long. But if you're holding it for a long time, the Zhiyun crane with the 5D Mark IV on top of it and the camera, it's gonna get a little heavy. So plan your shots and move accordingly. Also, if you're trying to get a low angle shot, and I'll show you, if I'm trying to move the Zhiyun crane to get a lower angle shot, this microphone is going to get in the way. So I gotta be really careful when I'm planning those type of shots. But other than that, this is a great setup. I get no shake. You know, I can pretty much control my shots and it looks a lot more natural. And it's pretty much, especially with the Zhiyun crane, which I've got to tell you, that mixed with the Canon makes this camera pretty much almost everything you've ever wanted. I have to work around the crop and the memory, but I've already done that. And now this combination is pretty much the camera I always wanted. A flip out screen would be phenomenal on the 5D Mark IV. However, I just know that if the lens is looking at me, I'm pretty much going to be in the shot. It would be easier for composition if I didn't have to deal with that, but to each his own. But so far, this is my Canon camera. If I had to choose between the 1DX Mark II, 5D Mark IV, and the 6D Mark II, it's definitely the 5D Mark IV. It's got the best of both worlds. It's got 4K, and it's got dual pixel autofocus, and it's got Canon log, which the other cameras don't have. So that's that. I also recently not started a channel because I've had this channel for a while, but on Personal Magnus, which is my other YouTube channel, I decided to start streaming live content when it comes to just me and playing classic nostalgic video games. It's actually kind of fun. I'll leave a link to that channel so that you guys can see it, check it out. And if you're into video games, especially classic video games, I tend to be specific, but you can check that out as well. But I vlog with a different camera, or I broadcast with a different camera, and that is the GH5. Right now the GH5 is plugged in with a battery that was pretty inexpensive, but this battery, because I'm streaming live, I don't want the battery to kind of die out on me, so I'm able to stream live and not worry about my battery because I plug it in. Now GH5, I've got the 24 to 70 millimeter lens hooked up right now with a Metabone speed booster, but believe it or not, I don't use this lens. I actually also use the Tokina lens for the GH5 because, again, I'm able to get that wider field of view, and that's what I prefer to use with that type of broadcast. So, and then I'll keep it on this Joby GorillaPod. And Joby GorillaPod, I set it up on top of my desk. It's small, it's easy enough. I can flex it around if I need to, but for most of the time I'm keeping it still. And I've got the Rode VideoMic Pro hooked up to this above my head, which I'm using right now, and that gives me the best kind of shots for that. So that's my setup. And right now, to record this episode, I guess I let that fall. To record this episode, I've got the Samsung NX1 recording me in 4K with a 16 to 50 millimeter 2 to 2.8 S lens. It's an awesome setup, and with this setup, I'm pretty much set. And I've got a long extension to a boom mic using a VideoMic Pro. And with that, I'm recording without an issue. And with the Samsung NX1, fortunately, it basically uses a USB plug to plug into power, so I don't even have to worry about buying a separate adapter that will go in the battery pack to keep it going. I just plug the camera directly into power, and I have no issues recording as long as I want. So that's my setup. What do you guys think? Oh, I know one added feature. I've got a couple of lights in front of me and one light pointed above so it could reflect off the ceiling and pretty much light me the way that I do. I'm going to leave a description of basically everything I talked about in the comments down below so you know what my setup is for everything. And if you got any questions, please feel free. Let me know what you guys think of this video or what you'd like to see. And a question for you: what's your preferred setup in your YouTube videos if you're a creator, or what you'd like to have, or if you have any questions on what you think is a better setup or not? And I'll do my best to answer them. I try to answer everybody's questions if they've got them. Leave a like, share. You can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. See you guys later.